So happy New Year 2025. I hope you're having a fantastic new year already. And let's go ahead and begin with the first video of the year. We're going to take a look at an older iPhone, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and see if this is going to be a worthy pickup in 2025. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. I like to begin the year by talking about an oldie but a goodie, and I say oldie as in the 16 Pro Max came out. It's not an old phone, but the iPhone 15 Pro Max no longer officially for sale. However, I've seen these things for around $700 to $850 now, which funny enough is actually cheaper than a phone that's very similar to this in the iPhone 16 Plus. But also has some specifications that might make this a much better choice. Even though, you could get this phone for close to the same price, the 16 Plus with a 60 hertz panel is going to cost you more than an iPhone 15 Pro Max. And let's talk about the price value. So at first, this phone is $1,300. Now being able to find it with natural titanium, a triple camera, 120 hertz, and people are getting rid of these for $800 or so. Probably still in pretty good condition depending on where you look. Action button, USB-C, long battery life, and very fast performance with Apple Intelligence support. This is probably one of the best value iPhones going into the year. Honestly, some base iPhone 16s plus tax in a case is going to cost more than some of these you can pick up secondhand now, which might not even have many cycles if the person had got rid of it before, too long. So this is going to be one of the great steals of early 2025, I feel like. Right, so let's talk about the design and the build. So a lot of phones in 2025 are still going to be having titanium feel and similar feels to this in terms of build quality. We might see thinner iPhones later this year and maybe even a thinner Samsung device, but this phone still feels very solid, and also it's lighter than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So going into its second year on the market here, this phone definitely is a very premium feeling device and has that really nice natural titanium right here. You can also get the 16 Pro Max in this color type, but the black titanium is available as well as the white. This phone feels very nice still. What I love about it is its balance between light and premium feel in hand. So definitely I would say build and design is worth it. The actual look going forward might change this year. I think the camera design is likely going to see a change this year. For the 17s, we'll see if that remains the same. But because this design has been around so long, it doesn't feel like it's going to age super fast. So if you buy it now, use it the whole year, by the end of the year, your phone should still feel pretty up to date. Shouldn't feel out of date or anything like that. So build quality wise, looks and design, definitely still sitting at the top, and you don't got to pay over $1,000 to get it now. So it's a good deal. It honestly is compared to when it first came out, pushing near $1,500 for this phone. Now, folks, it doesn't have a timeless design though. No phones really do because the market just always changes little things. However, its design should hold up very well. Another thing that's very impressive after couple years this has been out is its display quality. Hold on, Face ID got tricked up here. So its display quality is still very good. Although it's not the highest PPI or pixels per inch on the market, it gets plenty bright, and it actually is brighter than some current phones that are launched today. So it's very good. It's like 2000 nits max. There are phones though in the Android space that are cheaper than this, used, that probably have higher brightness than this overall, but they're not going to have everything else that comes with it, like the ecosystem, the app polish, the natural feel of the animations on this phone. Everything just feels good on this device. But nice aspect ratio, flat panel, so no weird curves or anything like that. Pretty thin bezels, which were thinner than the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and for that reason this display still impresses. I actually really like it. One of the things I'm noticing, because I am using 16 Pro Max these days, is just the way this feels. It just feels way nicer to hold in terms of the lightweightness of it, for real. It does. I do like the newer battery life on the newer phone, but I kind of miss this size. I really do. So definitely, if you want a really nice display, this one's going to have it for you. It's 6.7 inches, so the reach is still up there. It's not no thin or light or small phone. And it still doesn't take advantage of this large size, no split screen, anything like that. But what it does do is it does give you a pretty acceptable overall size, color accuracy. It gives you nice dark mode like most phones. It gives you true tone, night shift, very good brightness, and very good ability to get very dim. Although the 16 Pro Max gets a little dimmer, this is just a really good overall package. Still using that same 460 or so pixels per inch though. So if you're looking for something sharper, I would recommend like a Pixel 8 Pro or a Pixel 9 Pro XL, for example. Those do have higher pixel density than a phone like this. When it comes to performance, if we take a look at some of my benchmarks, you'll see that this thing has ridiculously good scores. Overall, we're getting near 7,000. Now, some of the phones these days are definitely passing this up for sure. And this was on some older versions, but it still does very well. Day-to-day performance on this phone really doesn't feel any different than the current 16 lineup. So anything that you buy now, if you were to use a 15 Pro Max today, it wouldn't feel any different. As a matter of fact, even a 14 Pro Max doesn't really feel any different. And while things do move along a little bit faster, if you really dig down to the granular, details, if you really look closely and you start comparing them side by side, you might see a little bit of an enhancement. The real area where this phone falls short of the newer devices is its heat management. They did fix it in software updates, but it did it through like throttling. So if you want sustained performance, long gaming sessions, you'll get good performance here, but you'll get great performance on the 16 Pro Max. So I wouldn't recommend this phone for the most hardcore gamers out there. I would recommend the 16 Pro Max. But you can still do tons of games, no issues. Just expect to put a case on it so you can avoid feeling a little bit of more heat that you'll feel on this phone. Other than that, though, the A17 Pro chip just kind of flies along no matter what you're doing. And it's a really good experience. It really is. It also has pretty good Wi-Fi speeds on here, good connectivity, good call quality. So all that stuff is really good. It's a great performer. It really is. And I'm glad that this chipset does give you the Apple Intelligence. They even use this chipset, a bin version, in the iPad mini. So this chipset is definitely proven, and it's a good one. Or else they wouldn't have put it in the latest iPad. We might even see this chipset in products in the future, like maybe an upgraded Apple TV, upgraded base iPad. We might see this chip again in the future. So this is definitely not behind or outdated in no way, shape, and form. So what about the camera systems now? Well, cameras have reached a point of being super good on phones that the year-to-year differences are starting to become harder to detect. However, the macro mode and the ultra wide got better for the newer iPhone. This one is still very good. I don't like that we don't have the audio mix features on here. I can't go back after using that in the 16. But if you do plug your own external mics, which tend to sound better anyway, it could not be an issue for you. You still have great zoom on here, up to 25 times. And I think if you're coming from an older used iPhone, you see this, you're like, I don't want to go all out. I want to get a used 15 Pro Max and rock out. You're going to get better zoom on here than a 16 and 16 Plus, and much more zoom than you likely had before on your prior iPhone. So if you're looking for a good deal with long zoom, this is going to be a great camera for you. Also, you do have ProRes HDR. You have 4K 60 on the rear, of course. In addition, 4K 60 on the front with ProRes features. So if you want a certain few Pro features that you wouldn't get in your Plus models, this one is going to offer that to you. Of course, you have to do it through settings. But I gotta say, man, overall, the camera definitely holds up. I'm not really I'm not really feeling like I need to have anything more when I'm using this. It's just that when the new phones come out, there's always a feature that once you have it, you kind of don't want to go back. And that, to me, that's going to be the new audio mixing features and the 48 megapixel ultra wide that's on the 16 Pro Max. But if you don't care about that stuff, if you're not like into those little details, this is still top level. It really is. And you can still get pro footage, and there's probably still a lot of pros out there still complementing their camera systems with this phone. So that's what I got to say about it. It's excellent still, for sure. When it comes to the battery life, in 2025, you're going to actually see a lot of improvements to the area of battery, even battery technology in certain phones. And it might even be Apple to give you that. But this phone, will the battery last throughout the day? Well, yes, it's a lithium-ion battery, but definitely it will last you throughout the day. I never complained about horrible battery for the 15 Pro Max. As a matter of fact, I liked it over the 14 Pro Max, which wasn't great, especially when using camera and high brightness modes. However, the 15 Pro Max went to town and gave me a pretty good battery life, although I was blown away by the 16 Pro Max's battery life. If you do want to get pretty darn good battery life, I don't think you're going to be whatsoever disappointed with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So yes, will it make it through a day in 2025? Absolutely. Is it going to be the latest battery tech? No, because this year we're going to see a lot of new phones pushing larger batteries, even maybe like 6,000 milliamp, 6,500 maybe. New battery technologies are going to make them last longer and be safer long term. So, I mean, no, this is not the best battery phone out there, but is it adequate? Is it still a recommendation? Sure, it's still going to be a good phone throughout this entire year, and you won't even have to look back. Folks, when you're looking at the entire amount of, things at a phone, all the features, all the specs, you want to take a look at how long is this product going to last me? And the 15 Pro Max has already got update to iOS 18, which is great. It has all the, image playground, it has all the ChatGPT features, all that stuff. But you're thinking about how much longer, if I put my money into this, will this last? Well, I think you got 19, 20, 21, maybe iOS 22 or 23. This should have another 4 years of support. And with the kind of CPUs that are in these current phones, I wouldn't be surprised, even though Apple doesn't claim how long they're going to support it. So older phones before this had not quite as powerful processors, but this one is just on a different level compared to some of those older iPhones. So I do think this might actually extend to 6, maybe even 7 if we're lucky. But it could stop at 5. It depends on where the technology goes. And phone call quality, while it's pretty good, it was actually upgraded on the 16 models. It has better modems in the newer models, faster 5G. So while this is not slow, it's not faster than the new products. Do keep that in mind as you go down the line. As the internet gets quicker, this might not feel as fast in 4 years, but it's still very quick. So it's going to be hard to see those differences. So I want to talk about the alternatives before we get up out of here. Audio is good. There's no real reason to talk about that. There's no camera control button, which you don't really probably need. You can use the action button for cameras or silent mode light. You can use it for flashlight. The alternatives. Do you consider this iPhone, or do you buy a 16 Plus, maybe 16 Pro Max, or even wait for the 17? Well, it comes down to your personal situation. If you are looking for a phone right now and you're in that $700 to $850 price range, you might want to look online, find yourself a reputable place, and find yourself a 15 Pro Max, because you get 120 hertz, you get great cameras, good battery life, premium build, and you don't got to pay the retail of a new 16 Pro Max at around $1,300. So you'll save yourself half the price. If you don't care about that, you got a trade-in phone and you want to reduce the cost of a new one, I still recommend jumping up to the new one if you don't have one. And if you're on the fence, you have like a 14 Pro Max, 13 Pro Max, or an older Android phone and you want to come to iPhone for the first time, if your phone is working excellent, I probably would just stick it out and wait to see, because this might be one of the bigger upgrade years, as Apple has been continuing to put similar phone out after similar phone. And I think it's going to be time they actually introduce something pretty different this year. So I would probably wait it out. If you're one of those people that want to be very patient about things and you're even considering that question, it probably means that you want to wait. So that's my take on this. But my final verdict on should you buy the 15 Pro Max in 2025, it's a resounding yes, especially if you could find it under $900. To me, it's a better deal in most cases than the 16 Plus. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I look forward to 2025 with y'all having a great year. We're going to get the year started off with the S25 series. There's going to be some other phones launching as well. It's going to be fun. Hope to see you there. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.